My name is Jason. I'm 34 years old, and for the longest time, I thought I had the kind of marriage people envied. My wife, Claire, and I had been together for almost 8 years. To outsiders, we looked like the perfect couple. We traveled together, posted smiling pictures on Instagram, and hosted family dinners where everyone told me how lucky I was to have her. And honestly, I believed them. If you're watching this video right now, I'd love to know where you're from. Drop it in the comment section below, hit that like button, and subscribe to hear more stories like this. Claire wasn't just my wife. She was my best friend. She knew my weaknesses, my childhood scars, the late-night insecurities I didn't share with anyone else. I built my whole world around her, trusting her in ways I never trusted anyone before. But you know what they say. Sometimes the people you trust the most are the ones who can cut you the deepest. And I didn't know it yet, but my life was about to unravel. It started small, little things I brushed off at first. Claire had always been warm, chatty, the kind of person who'd ask about my day, even if hers was long and exhausting. But suddenly, her attention felt divided. She started spending more time on her phone, late at night, with the screen tilted away from me. When I'd ask, she'd laugh it off. "Oh, just TikTok. You wouldn't get it." Then came the late evenings. She used to rush home after work, sometimes even texting me she was on her way because she couldn't wait to have dinner together. But now, "Hey babe, staying late at the office. Don't wait up." The first couple of times, I believed her. I mean, why wouldn't I? She'd never given me a reason not to trust her. But then it became a pattern. I remember one night vividly. I had cooked her favorite, homemade lasagna, and I was excited because it had been a rough week for both of us. She texted around 8:30. "Sorry, stuck in a meeting. Grab some food without me." That's when something inside me shifted. Because Claire doesn't just forget lasagna. She'd been looking forward to it all week. So why did it suddenly feel like I wasn't the priority anymore? I told myself I was being paranoid, insecure even. But deep down, a tiny voice whispered something I wasn't ready to admit. "Something is wrong here, Jason." And that whisper was about to get a whole lot louder. A week later, the universe handed me my first undeniable clue. It was a Saturday morning. Claire was in the shower, and her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Normally, I wouldn't even glance at it. We'd always had this mutual trust. No snooping, no secrecy. But the name flashing on the screen stopped me cold. Mark, work. I didn't know a Mark from her office. She had mentioned coworkers here and there, but never a Mark. And the preview of the message? Just 4 words. "Last night was amazing. I swear." My stomach dropped through the floor. My hands actually shook. I stared at that notification like it was a live grenade. A million thoughts rushed through my head. Was it a mistake? Was it some kind of inside joke? Was I overreacting? Claire came out of the shower just then, wrapped in a towel, humming like nothing was wrong. She saw me sitting there, pale and stiff, but I quickly set the phone back and forced a smile. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah, just tired," I lied, but my mind was screaming. That day, I couldn't focus on anything. Every laugh, every glance she gave me, I wondered, is this real, or is she putting on a mask? I didn't confront her right away. Part of me didn't want it to be true. Another part needed proof. So I waited. And as the days went by, the cracks got wider. More late nights, more secretive texting, more half-hearted excuses. And me, I was a man on the edge, pretending everything was fine, while a storm brewed inside me. Because deep down, I knew that one little text wasn't the end of it. It was only the beginning. I wish I could say I confronted Claire that night, but the truth is, I didn't. Instead, I turned into someone I didn't recognize, someone paranoid, someone desperate for answers. Every time her phone buzzed, my heart would jump. I'd notice how she tilted the screen away from me, how she laughed at texts she wouldn't explain, how she suddenly started taking calls in the kitchen, whispering while I sat in the living room. I told myself, maybe I'm imagining this. Maybe Mark is just a friend. But then came the second nail in the coffin. One evening, Claire said she had to stay late at work for a project deadline. I decided, no more sitting at home, losing my mind. I grabbed my car keys and drove to her office building. The parking lot was mostly empty, but parked in the back corner where the lights didn't quite reach. I saw her car, and right next to it, a black sedan, windows tinted. I waited. Minutes felt like hours. My hands gripped the steering wheel so hard, my knuckles turned white. Then, I saw them. Claire, walking out of the building, but not alone. She was with a man, tall, dark jacket, and yes, it was Mark. I recognized him from a company event she had once dragged me to. They weren't walking like co-workers. They weren't laughing like friends. They were holding hands. And then, right there under the faint glow of the parking lot lights, He leaned in and kissed her. My chest tightened like someone had chained it shut. My vision blurred, not from the dark, but from the tears I refused to let fall. I wanted to storm out of the car, to scream, to fight, to demand answers. But instead, I froze, because in that moment, something inside me broke. She wasn't just my wife anymore. She was a stranger. I drove home that night in silence, gripping the wheel, my mind screaming one word over and over: why? And as the garage door closed behind me, I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her with rage. I wasn't going to beg for the truth. No, I was going to gather every piece of proof I could, and when the time was right, I would let her destroy herself with her own lies. After that night in the parking lot, I couldn't look at Claire the same way anymore. Every smile she gave me felt rehearsed. Every hug felt like a cover-up. Every "I love you" sounded like a line from a bad play. But here's the thing, I didn't tell her what I saw. Not yet, because I wanted her lies to pile up so high that when they finally came crashing down, she wouldn't have anywhere to run. So I played my role, the clueless husband. I kissed her goodbye before work. I asked about her day. I even cooked dinner once or twice, just to keep up the illusion. And she got bolder. She started wearing new perfume, the kind she never wore for me. She started dressing differently, buying clothes I knew I hadn't seen before. And every late night at work became another dagger to my chest. But while she thought I was asleep at night, I was on my laptop, digging. I went through bank statements. Strange charges appeared. Fancy restaurants in parts of town she never mentioned visiting. A hotel receipt. Flowers ordered online. All under her account. I bought a small recording device. Hid it in her car. A GPS tracker too. And within days, I had the confirmation I needed. Claire wasn't just cheating once. She was living a double life. And the man, Mark, her co-worker, the guy who had always smiled too wide when I shook his hand. The betrayal burned. But weirdly, the pain started turning into something else. Resolve. See, I wasn't just planning to catch her. I wanted to make sure when this ended, it ended in a way she would never forget. I met with a lawyer quietly. I started moving money around, securing accounts, making copies of every piece of evidence I gathered. Emails, texts, GPS logs, pictures. It was all neatly organized in a folder labeled "For Claire." I know it sounds cold, but in those long nights staring at the ceiling, I realized she had already killed our marriage. My job now was to bury it and make sure when the truth came out, she would lose everything she gambled away. The saddest part, she still kissed me goodnight. She still called me her husband, and I still whispered, "I love you" back, knowing every word was a step closer to her downfall. By the third week of my investigation, I had enough proof to destroy her in court, ruin her reputation, and strip her of everything she had built with me. But still, I waited. Why? Because I wanted her to walk deeper into the trap herself. Every night when she said she was working late, I tracked her car parked neatly outside Mark's apartment complex, sometimes for 2 hours, sometimes overnight. She always came home smelling like him, thinking I couldn't tell. And every time, I smiled, not because I enjoyed the pain, but because I knew the more she lied, the stronger my case became. One night, I even followed her. I parked across the street, engine off, watching her walk into his building, laughing, holding his hand. My chest burned, but I clenched the steering wheel and told myself, "Patience, Jason, patience." Meanwhile, I started preparing. I met with the lawyer again. We drafted divorce papers that gave me the house, the car, and full custody of our dog, Max, the one living soul who never lied to me. I even called my boss and asked for a few weeks off, telling him I had personal issues. He didn't pry. Good man. With the extra time, I set up everything. I moved my valuables and personal items to a safe location. I transferred money into accounts under my name only. I even informed Claire's parents, carefully, without showing them proof, that something was going on. They were shocked but supportive, and then I planned the confrontation. See, I didn't want it to be a screaming match. I didn't want her to twist the narrative. I wanted cold, hard truth. So I arranged a dinner at our house on a Saturday night. Just Claire, me, and a little folder on the table. Inside that folder, every receipt, every GPS log, every picture, even the recording from her car, where she giggled to Mark about how Jason would never find out. That Saturday, she came home smiling, a little too brightly, wearing that perfume again. "What's all this?" she asked, looking at the dinner I'd set up. "Candles, her favorite pasta, wine." I smiled back, calm. "Just us tonight. We need to talk." Her face twitched, just for a second, a flicker of guilt, and I knew this was it. The end game was here. Claire sat across from me, twirling her fork, pretending nothing was wrong. She said, "This is nice. Feels like old times." I leaned back in my chair, studying her. "Old times? Claire, you mean the times when you used to come home to me instead of Mark?" Her fork froze mid-air. The color drained from her face. "What are you talking about?" she stammered. I reached to my side and placed the folder on the table, slowly, deliberately. Let's stop pretending. I know everything. She tried to laugh it off at first. Jason, come on, you're being paranoid. So I opened the folder, picture after picture, receipts, GPS logs, and finally, I slid over a USB drive. That's your car audio. Want to hear yourself talking about me, about how I'm too stupid to catch you? Her hands trembled. She didn't touch the folder. Silence. Just her eyes darting everywhere, searching for a way out. Finally, she whispered, Jason, it's not what it looks like. I laughed, a hollow, bitter laugh. Not what it looks like, Claire. You spent weeks in another man's bed. You told him things you should have told me. You gave him us. Her tears started then, crocodile tears. She reached across the table, but I pulled my hand back. Jason, I made a mistake. Please, we can fix this. I leaned forward, my voice low, steady. No, you made a choice, and now I'm making mine. I slid the divorce papers across the table, already signed by me. Her eyes widened. You planned this, every detail, I said coldly. While you were busy sneaking around, I was building my escape. This house, mine, the accounts, protected. Max stays with me. You walk away with nothing but the guilt of knowing you destroyed everything we had. Broke down then, sobbing into her hands. But I felt nothing, no pity, no regret, just freedom. I stood, walked to the door and opened it. Get out, Claire. Go to Mark, or whoever else. But not here, not anymore. She looked at me one last time, mascara running, lips trembling, and then she left. The door clicked shut behind her, and for the first time in months, I could breathe again. When the door closed behind Claire, I stood there for a long time, just listening to the silence. It was the first peace I'd felt in months. But here's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't just disappear once the cheater leaves. It lingers, like smoke after a fire. The first few days were rough. Max asked questions I couldn't answer. Where's Mom? Why isn't she home? I told him the truth in the gentlest way I could. Buddy, sometimes adults make mistakes, and sometimes love isn't enough to fix them. He hugged me so tight that night, and in that hug, I realized something. I wasn't broken, not completely. I still had him, my son, my reason to keep going. Meanwhile, Claire's life unraveled. Mark, he wasn't the knight in shining armor she imagined. He ghosted her after a few weeks, just like I knew he would. Because men like that, they don't build, they only destroy. I'd hear bits and pieces from mutual friends. Claire struggling with bills, Claire crying about losing everything, Claire realizing that the grass wasn't greener, it was fake turf. And me, I rebuilt, slowly, piece by piece. I started therapy, poured my energy into my job, into being the best father I could be. Weekends became adventures with Max, camping trips, baseball games, movie marathons. Our bond grew stronger than ever. One evening, about 6 months later, I bumped into Claire at the grocery store. She looked different, tired, defeated. She glanced at the cart full of snacks and toys I had for Max, then at her nearly empty basket. Her voice cracked. Jason, can we talk? I just smiled politely. There's nothing left to say, Claire. You made your choice, and I made mine. I walked away, pushing the cart, Max laughing beside me. That was my closure. Not slamming the door in her face, not the divorce papers, but realizing that I didn't need revenge to win. I already won, because I had my son, my dignity, and a life that no longer carried the weight of her betrayal.